Hello ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here bringing you some more StarCraft action. This is going to be the MSL Survivor Tournament Group 10 with Action, Ruby, Jangbi, and Mind. And before we get started here, I just wanted to mention something. I don't know if everyone knew that this had occurred just a few days ago. But sadly, Ranchin has retired from StarCraft commentating. So that is definitely some big news, some noteworthy news. Very, very unfortunate, but if you have a chance, go check out his channel. He did make a goodbye video, as it were, and explained his reasons, mostly a lack of passion for the game and a lack of time, the combination of those two causing that. So he will definitely be missed. His was very, very passionate, and for a couple years here with the MSL just did a really great job of casting pretty much every game that you could find for the MSL, particularly once you got past the Survivor Tournament. He was just casting everything and doing such a great job of it. He really knew his stuff on the MSL. It was a great guy. Definitely had some good conversations with him, some good dual commentaries with him as well, and he will definitely be missed. His voice will be missed. So just wanted to mention that he has left the commentating ranks. He is still going to be doing other things, so if you are interested in some different kinds of gaming, and if you are familiar with him, he does Let's Plays, which are him playing different random games, and he'll upload them to his channel. So that's that. Just wanted to make sure everyone knew that was going on. So this is going to be the MSL Group 10 in the Survivor Tournament. As I said, it's Action, Ruby, Jangbi, and Mind. And obviously the reason I'm choosing this group over the other group, I think it was 9 that went on today, is that Jangbi is playing, and Jangbi is, of course, my favorite player. So that's the obvious reasons. So this is going to be Action and Ruby, though, to start with on game 1. Action in the bottom right in blue, Ruby in the top left in yellow. So we do have the potential here for definitely a much longer game. There's a Ruby fan out in the audience right now. That's a pretty cool banner. Ruby does tend to play conservative with his TVZ, and if you've ever watched a lot of Ruby games, you know that he likes to go mech. He's rather conservative. He tends to get his second base up pretty quickly and then kind of sit on it. You kind of get into longer games with Ruby. That's definitely one of his tendencies, but he is very, very good at the mech play of TVZ. And I expect to see him to go mech in the long run. Whether he will start out with maybe a Marine push out or something like that, which is very, very common, is always a possibility. But long term, I definitely think we'll be seeing some mech out of him. It does look like for now he does have the 1 Rax. I didn't see a refinery go down, so I think it's going to be a 1 Rax expand, the usual for Terrans. And Zerg here for Action, who finally kind of got going again. He was falling off the map for KT. He wasn't really performing well, but then recently he started getting some kills again in Winners League, so maybe he'll be back in action. And oh well, there's a pun for you, in the playoffs, because they will be playing SKT1 in just another day or two. By the time I get this upload, probably a day or so, they will be playing. And if KT wants to win and not depend on Flash, you know, Action and Stats are definitely needed to get a win or 2 each in order to keep some pressure off of Flash. So Action's a very, very key, very, very important member for KT Rolster, and he will have that opportunity this weekend, assuming he gets played. Also, other news for KT Rolster is they have acquired Crazy Hydra from Woongjin Stars. So Woongjin Stars acquired Light from MBC, and then apparently Crazy Hydra left Stars and went to KT Rolster, so he's going to go help and try and bolster their Zerg line as well. So Action's gonna have to pick up his game a little bit, otherwise he's gonna and play more consistently. Otherwise, Crazy Hydra could steal some playtime from him. He's definitely got to watch out for that. We do have the natural command center going up, almost completed for Ruby, as well as a second barrack. So maybe I was a little bit wrong here. We're not gonna see mech play out of Ruby. Definitely a little different from him. I do love his mech play, though. His mech play is very, very good. There's finally a refinery in the academy. So this is going to start out with Medic Marine. And it's just a Zergling trying to scout in right now. He wants to know what kind of build Ruby's going for, if it is going to be a dedicated M&M game, or if he's going to go mech behind it. I'm sure that's something Ruby or Action really wants to know right now. We do have a third hatch for Action, so this is going to be probably a 3-hatch Muta. You could see 3-hatch Lurker, but I think, but I suspect that we'll be seeing Mutalisk out of Action here at the beginning. And we already have a is that a sunken colony? Click on it. I think that's already a sunken colony or a creep colony being prepared here, anticipating an attack by Ruby as Action and looking to deter that very, very quickly. And that's really what Ruby wants to do. He has those 2 Raxes, and I think that we will see a push out here pretty quickly, and he wants to force Action to build a couple sunken colonies, and not only build the creep colonies, but morph them into sunken colonies, spend that money, spend those drones on these buildings that are just defensive and aren't really helping him in terms of eco, in terms of his tech, and it's just something that Terran players want to do, just to keep their Zerg opponents at least somewhat in check, and don't want them to get too much of a lead going into the mid game. We do have a few Zerglings thinking about a run by, but they're going to see Fire Bats, and no, you are not going to get by the Fire Bats. A couple shots going off there by the Fire Bats, but not able to take down any of the Zerglings. And Action is moving across the map here with close to a dozen Marines as well as a few medics, and 3 sunken colonies is going to be more than enough to deal with that medic Marine force, as long as the sunken colonies actually get morphed in, of course. And Action is, I think that's all we're going to see. I think Ruby's going to be pretty happy having, I don't know if he scanned that or not, but he was able to force Action to throw down a few sunken colonies, and that's mostly what you wanted to see out of that. I mean, there really isn't he really wasn't going to go for a break unless Action really screwed up. A couple Zerglings did get a random SCV kill, so that is something for Action, but nothing too serious. The Spire is completed, so we should be seeing Mutalisk morphing, but I'd wonder if he forgot an Overlord. We had 3 larvae at the main, but no morphing. A little bit confused on that one. Not entirely sure what's going on with Action. Maybe he forgot an Overlord or something, because those should all be morphing into Mutalisk right now. He should have that timing down. He is a pro gamer. You usually tend not a mistake you'll see very often if he did forget something like that. And a bunch of Zerglings actually getting caught in the open by that medic Marine group and going down. A couple Zerglings here in the main Ruby trying to pick off another Zergling if they can, trying to delay some of the turret timings, and able to get another SCV there and another SCV. Look at that, getting a couple more SCVs, and Ruby not reacting particularly well to this at all. Finally killing off the Zerglings, but those Zerglings definitely did their damage, especially for their cost efficiency. Finally, we have some Mutalisks out here, and they are going in for the attack. It looks like streaming across the map, and it looks like turrets will be up. There are a couple at the barracks, a couple farther inside the main, and I believe the natural as well has 2 or 3 turrets as it stands. And a Firebat going to get caught out by these Mutalisks, and that's exactly what Action wants to do. And he's got a great opportunity here to pick off a bunch of medics. 1, 2, will he get the third one? The third one barely lives, but without the medics, the Marines are just not even, it's just not even close. They are just not nearly powerful enough. They take the stim, they lose their 10 life each, and then they don't have any healing, and suddenly Mutalisk just absolutely will tear through Marines that don't have any medic support. Note that no, there are no upgrades yet, so these Mutalisks will be effective for quite a while until the upgrade completes. The +1 weapons for the Marines, Mutalisks will be very effective in terms of keeping the numbers somewhat down. Generally, when you don't have that +1, Terran players usually try and keep their medic Marine ball either very, very large if they're going to push out, or they keep their group with turrets in order to support the medic Marine, because they just can't really handle Mutalisks a lot of times. But it looks like he's doing pretty well right now. Hasn't lost too many Marines yet. Action not being particularly aggressive with these Mutalisks. Needs to be careful. He almost got pincered there between 2 groups of Marines. Action is taking the top right base, and he's morphing some lurkers as well to defend, so it looks like he should have those up in time to defend against any sort of a push by Action. I'm not sure about the top right. I think he sent some Hydralisks up there to morph into lurkers as well, and as long as they finish, he will be fine. We have an evolution chamber as well as a hive morphing as well, and now Action getting a little bit more aggressive, picking at those medics again, and almost all the medics are gone. It looks like there's just a couple left. That's not really enough to handle all of these Marines, so we could be seeing this Marine and a couple medic force out in the open get possibly destroyed by some sort of mutiling lurker force, and it could be very, very effective, very, very quick death for all of these Marines if they are caught unawares and with only a couple medics left right now. We do have a Nidus Canal as well, so that means that the hive is finished. There's the first Defiler Mound, so only the one Defiler Mound, not the two. That has become almost standard. It's been very, very common to see the two Defiler Mounds go down to get both of the Consume and the Plague upgrades at once. And so that way you'll have both of those available to you, but Action here deciding to go with just the one, so he'll just get the Consume first, and so that way he has Swarm to defend and get the Plague a little bit later. And it looks like some of these drones might get picked off. Oh, wow, good reaction by Ruby, actually, getting half of the drones that were going to get picked off by that big, huge Medic Marine Ball, able to send them home. And this Medic Marine Ball has grown pretty effectively. They are, that is a big ball of units, and they have the +1 weapons upgrade, and not sure if he's going to be able to get up the ramp though with the two lurkers. Two lurkers usually will do pretty well holding a ramp until tanks get into the picture, or you get very upgraded Marines. Those can start to get going pretty well as well. We do have a dropship out as well, and that will be going to try and do some harassment heading south, and then we'll head across the map. We have an armory, and yeah, haven't seen any big engagement yet. No attempt by Action to really try and destroy this Medic Marine group. No attempt yet. No true attack by Ruby on the bases of Action. And we saw Action there try and dip in and pick at the siege tanks, because he knows how important those are going to be in terms of keeping the count low and protecting his ramps, but not able to do so quite yet. Still looking, probing for an opening to pick at the tanks. It's his goal right now, unable to find any hole in Ruby's army as it is. The dropship moving across the bottom of the map right now, going to reach Action's base very, very shortly, and it is scouted out at this point. It looks like the Mulas are all heading home, so I think he knows that this is coming, and he should be able to defend. That is a good number of Mulas. Once he just gets a few Zerglings into play, he should be able to deal with this. And here come the Zerglings, and the Mulas are just absorbing the damage, absorbing a lot of damage. That's a lot of dead Mulas, and only one left, so the Mutalisk force is basically done, but he's got Swarm, he's got Lurkers, so the Mutalisk were not expected to do much more right now, and Action really just used his Mutalisk as a delaying action in this game. He didn't go for the kill, it was not aggressive at all with him. It looked like he just produced the 11 Mutalisks and didn't produce any reinforcements really, so it was just a delaying action to try and get to Hive Tech and the Swarm and the Lurkers. And that has worked for him, so he has gotten past that phase of the game, that first danger point for Zerg players, when the Medic Marine Ball starts to get really large and you don't have Swarm yet. That is a danger point for Zerg players with this strategy, but he was able to get out of there, and Action was not able to do anything during that gap. So now kind of the offensive generally at this point will switch back towards Zerg. Now that they have Swarm, until you get a lot of vessels, until you get more tanks, it's usually difficult for Terran to get overly aggressive, and they're usually put on the retreat for a little while at least. And we'll see if that's the case here, if Action decides to go on the offensive, or continue to use his Lurkers defensively, maybe try and take a 4th base or something like that. Ruby is setting up to take the 12 o'clock base, which would be his 4th, and he's also thrown down a couple more factories, and he's got the upgrades going, so it looks like we will be seeing some Vulture play, and we saw a couple mines go down already. Action is very, very prepared for another drop. You saw all the cracklings there at this point, as well as the singular Mutalist still alive at the bottom of his base. And Ruby just trying to take map control right now. His main army is in the middle of the map. He's laying down mines in a lot of places. Those will offer him really good scouting information as well as good damage dealing potential should they hit in a good spot. And a couple of vultures sneaking in here with a dropship behind the top right base, and they are able to get a couple drone kills so far. It looks like they should be able to get rid of these Zerglings as well. He needs to be careful. Action does that he doesn't lose too many drones to this. There are a lot of mines, and that Hydralisk could actually end up hurting him almost if it gets dragged into a mine and into some drones. The first Hydralisk does go down. A couple more Hydras coming in. They are about to blow up. They do blow up. So now this Vulture can just go nuts on these. Wow, that dropship did go down. Yeah, that Vulture can just go nuts on these drones, but he's not using it. Come on, Ruby, come on! The opportunity is here to get a bunch more kills, and you're not taking it. Come on, Ruby, come on, Ruby. No! The Vulture is going to die. That Vulture could have gotten a bunch more kills. Absolutely could have been. That is a big mistake from Ruby. Could have done a lot more damage with those two Vultures. Very, very surprised to see that he missed that opportunity. That's kind of painful, actually, for Ruby. Losing that much potential damage dealing. Still haven't seen an Ultra's Cavern. Haven't seen a huge army yet from Action. Still playing very defensively. We've seen some lurkers here and there, just trying to contain the contain, as it will. Ruby does have map control, but Action is just trying to keep Ruby from getting too much of it. And here comes Action with a group of vultures towards the bottom left. He's going to find that there's nothing there. There is a couple lurkers with Swarm that are causing him some problems, but no base there, nothing for Ruby to really try and take out. And this lurker just getting a couple free kills here. He needs to get a attack off, or not an attack, a scan off, and finish it off. And there is a consume on a Hydralisk, and I was going to say that there's a plague, but there's no plague, or a swarm, but there was no swarm, so he just consumed, but didn't end up casting anything because there wasn't really that many Marines that came on the attack. So this 12 o'clock base right now for Action for Ruby is secured, so that is 4 bases for him. And Action looks like he wants to go a little bit on the offensive, but here comes a big mech build. So a bunch of tanks as well as vultures. So this is the transition that I was almost expecting to occur a little bit earlier, but it happens anyways. This is the patented Ruby transition right into mech, and lurkers really are not very effective against mech at all. Lurkers are very good against medic marine, but not against lurkers. Hydralisks are pretty good against, are usually what you end up going against with mech for a long time, and these mines are just going to tear through this army. Look at all these Zerglings dying to mines. Luckily for him, the Defiler does live, and another mine goes off. So many units right now dying to mines, and that's the power of vultures being shown right there. The power of vultures in the Terran arsenal, so powerful and so cheap. They can do so much damage if they catch you unawares. It's absolutely incredible. And some vessels getting out into the field, irradiating that lurker as well as a Defiler, so that is a good start with the vessels for Ruby, and he is really pumping out some factories right now. Double armories going, getting all the upgrades going, and things looking good right now for Ruby. I gotta say, he's got 4 bases pretty well secured. He's got some pretty good map control. He's taking the 9 o'clock base as well, which would be his 5th base and his 4th gas, and he hasn't allowed Action to really attack him at all, or really even push out. These mines have just been devastating. And it's really quite incredible how much damage they've really done. Laying some more mines that could end up doing some damage, but we do have overlords in the area, so they are going to at least somewhat nullify that advantage. And now some vultures going for a run by the main, not going to. You're going to see all the sunken colonies there and realize he's got to back off. And he's still just going around with these vultures. Some really good vulture play in terms of just having the map control. If you look on the map and you just saw what Ruby saw, you can see over half the map through Ruby. He basically has a scout at every important location on the map, and that is so important for Ruby. That is so huge that he's in that position right now. He has such good information. We do have Action trying to clear away some of these mines, so that way his Hydras can at least move across the map without dying, as they have been quite a bit recently with all these mines being placed. And still, Action has his 2 corners, top right and bottom right. Hasn't been able to secure 3 o'clock yet. Looks like he's maybe thinking about that, moving some Hydras into position to destroy the units there. A couple vultures getting picked off as well. And we could be seeing him take that 3 o'clock position. He also has the 6 o'clock position. And here he actually is going in for attack at the 9. Going to try and take down this base. Should actually have some luck here with that well-timed swarm. A couple of lurkers underneath. So unless there's some vessels with a radiate prepared, he's going to have some trouble. Ruby is getting rid of those lurkers. Those lurkers under swarm will only take splash damage at worst from the tanks, and not really going to not going to die very easily. So a good little attack here from Action for now, as long as that lurker is alive and continuing to do damage, which it still is for some reason. Ruby has not scanned and has not brought a vessel into position to take care of those lurkers right now. Kind of a mistake by him. A play going off, catching only 3 Goliaths, so not a big deal, but he really just needs to scan. There's the scan, so now those 2 lurkers should fall pretty quickly. There they go, and he'll be able to resume mining at that base. But a nice little attack there by Action, interrupting the mining there a good bit. Does look like we have a good deal of forces out in the middle, and a bunch of Mutalisks showing up. This should be interesting. A Radiate going off on the Mutalisk. Action needs to split that Mutalisk off, and he is able to do so, but there are a bunch of Goliaths. I don't know if this was really a good idea by Action, just because there are Goliaths. It's not like there were... he was completely Vulture and Tank dependent. He was pretty heavy Vulture and Tank, but still, there were enough Goliaths that he should have... that those Mutalisks just were not able to do very much at all. He still has a bunch more Mutalisks. Could catch the back end of this push by Ruby. The back end of this tank line could actually do some damage there, but Ruby should have some Goliaths coming in as reinforcements to clean this up pretty soon. If he doesn't already, he should have used the last couple rounds of unit production on Goliaths. Looks like Ruby at this point is unsieging his forces, going to go on a big offensive here. Where is he going to go? Will he go to the 6 o'clock? Will he go straight to the main? Big play going off, catching a ton of tanks. That will be painful. If Action can keep some of these Mutalisks alive for at least another minute, he could... No, he can't keep them alive. If he could have kept them alive for just a little bit longer, he could have darted in and picked off a bunch of tanks, and that could have been absolutely devastating. Look at all of those tanks asking to die to Mutalisks. If Action had just been able to keep those Mutalisks alive for just a little bit longer, just dove them back, they would have done so much damage. But instead, he's coming in with swarms and lurkers could take down tons of tanks at once, and that's what we're seeing. Here go down tons of tanks, and another Mutalisk coming in, but only able to get off one shot. So many tanks asking to die right now, and Action just not able to take advantage. He needs to take advantage. This is such a brilliant opportunity for him to kill like another half-dozen tanks, but just looks like he doesn't have the initiative, doesn't have the forces and the swarm to take care of it right now. It's such a great opportunity, though, if he was able to. I think there's still a little bit of time before all the SCVs come in to repair, still some time, and big Hydralisk group catching some of the tanks on the reinforcing route might actually be able to take them down, which would definitely be nice to him. Keep that tank count as low as you can. A Medic Marine coming out of nowhere. Where have you been? Where did you come from? Coming from the backside and annihilating those Hydralisks. So a little bit of a pocket force there from Ruby that almost feels cheap. Where did those Medic Marines come from? They just showed up all of a sudden and raped that Hydralisk force. And here comes Action again, coming in for another attack. Where's the swarm? The swarm coming in after all the Hydralisks are dead. But there is a drop! There were lurkers in those overlords coming in for a drop, so that's what the swarm is really for. And they are going to clean this up, and it looks like Ruby's going to lose basically his entire central force. He lost so many tanks. Ruby has lost probably about 15 tanks in the last minute and a half, 2 minutes. Been pretty painful. That plague was so good when he caught all those tanks. He does have a position at the 6 o'clock, though. He is trying to take down that base, has been taking it, bringing in some Goliaths as well. There have been Vulture mines placed, and that base is going to go down. So the 6 o'clock does go down. Ruby is still mining very, very well. He just, as long as he can reproduce his army pretty well, he should be in good shape. So the 6 o'clock attacking force there does finally go down. There are still mines to be afraid of, and mines really have been worth their weight in gold in this game for Ruby. They have done a lot of damage. They haven't won the game like you'll see in some games where mines just straight up win the game, and it's crazy to watch. But they have done a good deal of damage, and they have definitely been a significant factor in this game for Ruby. And where does Ruby go from here? He's continuing to go on the attack, has reproduced a large number of his tank count, and he's got the vultures, got a bunch of Goliaths as well to be prepared for any sort of a Muta addition, and a bunch of Zerglings coming in here, and some mines going to go off, going to take down some of them, but they were able to clear most of the mines, which is very important. A bunch of swarms coming off, and Hydra's coming in from a couple different directions, and more swarms coming in, and Hydra's still coming in here, trying to do as much damage as they can, but it looks like the Hydras are dying to splash damage. It really looks like there are not a whole lot of Hydras left. These Hydras are dying to the splash damage of the tanks that are on the high ground. And wow, Ruby with this mech play continuing to maintain his attack positions, and here he goes. He looks like he's going to aim for that third base. Well, it's not really the third base, but the bottom right natural, or not natural, the mineral only is where he's headed right now, and he's looking for he's looking to really take the battle to action. If he can work his way into the main and start picking up the tech buildings for Zerg players so important. Don't just need the hatcheries. You do need all of your tech buildings, whether the Ultras, Caverns, or Spire, and generally those tend to all be in the main. So if your main falls, you do lose all of that, and the hatcheries are basically useless. So something to watch out for if the push continues in that direction. A lot of Ultra Mines being placed on the ramps, very near the ramps that would be Action's reinforcing route from the top right, and so that's going to be difficult for him. We have a ton of missile turrets at the 12 o'clock position as well for Ruby to defend that area from any sort of Mutalisk, or I guess even if there was Guardians or something that would at least delay, and if Action wasn't microing properly, could actually kill a bunch of Guardians in some positions. And an attack coming in at the top right, a bunch of tanks coming in. They are going to try and take down this mineral only, and this would be really good for Ruby if he can take it down. He has been doing a good job, and these tanks also are going to be able to tank hit the top ramp of that exit for Action. So Ruby taking some really good position. He's got basically all of the important high ground positions, and he's taking the bottom left natural expansion as well. Probably going to take the main pretty soon too. And I think Action's kind of running out of time right now. He needs to find a way, to deal with this mech army. He just has not been prepared for this, has not been dealing with it at all. And aside from the one point where he got that plague off and was able to take down a ton of tanks, he's really been struggling against this mech play. The mech play has really dominated him, and he has forced it GG without even losing a base, really. Action really did not lose a base. I mean, the 6 o'clock fell the one time, and it looked like top right mineral only was going to fall. You know, a couple little things here and there, but there was no real big push by Action. He just held the middle of the map, allowed his mech force to grow, and just kept taking bases, and it got to the point where there's nothing Action could do. He wasn't able to bring Ultras to play. He wasn't able to be quite effective enough with his swarms and his Hydralisk against the mechanized army in order to take the field. So that is going to be a win for Ruby. Ruby is going to advance to the winner's match. Action is going to have to go play in the loser's match, and one more loss for Action, he will be gone. Ruby is going to be playing to enter the MSL against the winner of Jangbi and Mind. So Jangbi and Mind is going to be the next game, and I'm very, very excited to cast that. I will see you guys all there. That is the next game, Jangbi and Mind. This was Action Ruby. Action losing, and Ruby going on to the winner's match. I will see you all in the next set.